Before Charli XCX essentially invented what we know as hyperpop today, she was, as the locals say, the boom clap girl. Yeah, that's right, we're gonna talk about Sucker, her second commercial record released under Atlantic Records, which dropped in December 2014. To properly talk about this album, I want to contextualize what the landscape of pop was in 2014. As we all know, 2014 was one of the biggest years in modern pop history, between the tail end of the Prism era, Taylor Swift's monumental 1989, Ariana Grande's My Everything era, and countless other now iconic smash hits. Charli XCX decided to release a pop-punk anthemic record, something that was not really in tune with what was going on at the time. The actual lead-up to Sucker was actually pretty solid in my honest opinion. True Romance, which was her first record, despite not charting on the charts, was a critical success. Charli was also featured on Iggy Azalea's Fancy, a track that dominated the charts in the summer of that year and even landed in the top 4 of the year-end list. And yeah, so we gotta talk about the elephant in the room, her first and last solo top 10 hit in the States, Boom Clap. A soundtrack cut from The Faults in Our Stars, a movie that was a big hit that year. This track found its way into the hearts of many pop lovers around the world and was actually some of Charli's fans' first encounter with her material. Pretty insane, right? Ironically enough, many people actually loathe the song now, and I think at some point even Charli herself hated the song because it was a staple on every set list of every performance she did up to 2018. I'm gonna be honest, and I'm gonna say that I actually really liked the track. I was obsessed with it. I even projected that Charli would become the next big pop thing way back then, just off that one track. Then she followed it up with Break the Rules, a song that she similarly dissed in recent years. I think the story goes that she came up with it while writing with other artists for a writer's retreat all the way in Sweden. Ironically enough, Atlantic would love the track and made her release it. Angels in 2014, who found Charli through her True Romance era, I recall were actually scared of the direction these tracks would take her, but the album itself dropped and we got a really eclectic record that was received well. Sucker made the year-end list for both Enemy and Rolling Stone. I actually see a lot of people on Twitter try to give this album flack, particularly stans for modern Charli, but I think we need to give this album some credit. The third single off the record, which actually hit the top 10 in the UK, Doing It, featuring Rita Ora, demonstrates her ability to just come up with choruses that just feel obvious but never have quite been done before. Famous, the final single of the record, and one of the most slept on tracks, showcases her ability to commit to a genre that she's playing with. This album would actually chart at 28 in the United States, selling roughly 29,000 copies, but again, to be 22, to be that young, and to just make noise critically for a pop-punk album in a year where everyone went for the obvious synth pop, that's guts, and an early sign that Charli's priority as an artist is to explore sounds, to try to make art out of the commercial, and it's a noble record. Now I'm gonna go into the tracks. Sucker is a pretty triumphant opening track, scorning a lover, coming off way too strong. I actually found out that this song is a metaphor for her own experiences in the music industry. It's actually about people who rejected her, but then went on to quote-unquote kiss her ass later on. The pre-chorus makes so much more sense now that you realize what it's really about, as does the line, Luke loves your stuff, a reference to her not giving a shit if people tell her that Dr. Luke, who was really popular around the time, loved her stuff, as if his opinion actually counts. Break the Rules, I'm not gonna lie, it is an earworm, not her best song. I don't know if anyone else could actually sell the song but it works in her voice. The chorus is an example of something that feels like it's been there, done that, only for you to realize it hasn't been. It's so straightforward that it works, and I'm glad that she got her coins because I've heard this in so many teen movie commercials. London Queen was definitely one of my favorite tracks early on when I actually listened to the album when it dropped. This track was mostly finished by producer Justin Raisin, but normally she likes to create a song from scratch, though she liked it enough to actually drop her vocals on it and complete it. I like the commitment to the character in the track. She is a London queen, driving on the wrong side of the road feeling like JFK. It's so tongue-in-cheek, I love it. Breaking Up is a classic for me. The music video remains one of the most badass pieces of her videography. There's a lot of throwback art to it. The simplicity of the song and the relatability, it's just there. Charli nonchalantly is just so over this guy, and it's not in a desperate way. It's actually kind of brutal, so I feel bad for whoever she wrote the song for. Gold Coins was a grower for me. I like the dip into the electronic vibes that she has here, but it's not my favorite track off the record. It's a worthy exploration. The sound effects and the guitar make the song. Body of My Own is a irreverent self-love anthem. It is that song. Charli mentioned that it was actually the hardest song to write for the record. I love the instrumental and the fact that Charli is just willing to go there musically and lyrically. Famous is an underrated track. It was produced by pop staple Greg Kurstin, and it showcases what Charli could really do if she'd gone with more traditional producers. The way that the vocals are layered here, the way that the lyrics are again clean but linear, and the hook, I wish it'd just done better. Hanging Around was actually a surprise for me. I didn't know that Weezer's own Rivers Cuomo produced this track, but the more I listen to it, the more I realize that it is his work. It feels like a long lost Weezer track, but with Charli's edge to it, and it works. It just works. I love the chorus line, and the bridge is escalation at its best. So Over You is a bonus track. It is a Benny Blanco co-production with Naughty Boy. It is an underrated track, and it's possibly one of my favorites off the record. Again, it's so simple, it's universal. Charli's verse work here, it's emotional, it's wounded, it's organic, it's well written. It's a pop classic that could have been a pop classic. It would have been a great, strong single, and the bridge being the outro is iconic. Die Tonight is actually a really cool track because it was supposed to be for One Direction, but she loved it so much, and I learned that just now, and it makes all the sense in the world because it sounds like a track that would have fit into their discography. The outros of Nas and the chorus sound so much like 1D, but Charli makes it her own, and it's a vibe. Caught in the Middle is yet another Benny Blanco production. It is the second on the record. He's a really good producer. This is one of the better tracks off the record. The chorus feels traditional for a Charli track, but it is an earworm of a track. There's almost an indie sound to the song. I like the storyline of the song being about a love that's not quite meant to be. There's ambiguity here. Is it an affair, or is it just bad for the two of them? We won't know. Was this written about Huck? I kind of wonder. The final track that I'm covering is Red Balloon, which honestly kind of sounds like a predecessor for PC music that Charli would eventually make later in her career. While it isn't exactly PC, it's definitely repetitive and exploratory, and there's sound effects here. It was originally conceived for the Rihanna DreamWorks movie Home, so that explains why it doesn't fit or gel with the rest of the record and is a bonus track. I still acknowledge its place in her discography. It's not her best song, but I enjoy it. So yeah, revisiting Sucker was kind of fun because modern Charli sounds so different from what she sounded like way back then. I have to give this record some credit. True Romance was the record that got me to stan her all the way back in 2013, and I will do a video about it one day. I've been a fan of her for quite some time, and I actually did enjoy what the Sucker era gave to us, despite it not being the smash era that Atlantic and I myself even expected it was going to be. I think a lot of the seeds of why we like Charli today are here on this record, and eventually working with Sophie and A.G. Cook would bring out those seeds, grow them, and make her the artist that she is today. And that's a wrap. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. I will have more videos for you guys in the coming weeks. I'm currently editing the audio for the Stars Born video, as well as a surprise for Demi stans out there. I'm gonna start plugging it more often, but I've started streaming more on Twitch. You can definitely follow me at LJMac. I usually watch music videos, chat with people in chat, play some fun games like Jackbox, and I really give some pop commentary that I don't drop on here, like on the fly stuff. It's really fun. I hope you guys check that out. Like, subscribe, comment your favorite track from Sucker below. Shout out to my members once again. Thank you so much, guys. You guys are the light of my lives. The XCX video for members only is dropping soon. I've been promising this forever, but it is finally happening. I'm so excited for it, and they'll get to see it, and maybe you guys will too. Who knows? I'll see you for the next video. Bye.